I'd like to start today with one simple question. What is a leader? I'm sure many people's first thought when the word leader is mentioned is of some hugely famous political leader. You might think of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Mahatma Gandhi, and even Adolf Hitler. The people whose positions and actions have had immense impacts on our lives and on many others. But what really makes these people leaders? John Quincy Adams once said, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader." One huge example of the truth of this statement is a man we all know, Martin Luther King Jr. We've all heard several times, "I have a dream." Quite obviously, King inspired people, and he showed racial minorities that they can dream more, learn more, do more, and become more. He was a leader. Let's look to Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Not the typical person you associate with the word leader, but what did he do? Over Mozart's lifetime, he composed over 600 works of music. He started composing and performing for royalty at the age of 5. His music is still well known in the world today, 221 years after his death. Through his music, Mozart inspired others to dream more by being creative and following desires and goals, to learn more about themselves, their world, and the passion that music can create in people. He inspired others to do more by trying hard at what they enjoy, doing their best to succeed, and become more by going on to inspire others through sharing what's great about themselves with the world. But while there have been many famous people who have done great things and have been great leaders, they aren't the only ones. A lot of us forget about the everyday people of the world. Are they not leaders too? While they may not have been mentioned on the TV or have a book written about them, ordinary people, our neighbors, are leaders. They have the power to inspire people, and purposefully or not, they do. One common man goes by the name Charlie Todd, and is the leader and main founder of a widespread group called Improv Everywhere. Todd started it all off with a simple prank he thought would be funny. He'd have a few of his friends get on the New York subway in the middle of winter without pants on, and then have a hidden camera on board to see people's reactions. As you can imagine, the results were quite entertaining. This sparked a chain reaction of ideas to brighten people's days by doing simple, random, funny things. Starting with something as simple as a joking no-pants subway ride, Todd went on to inspire people to dream more by finding new ways to make people smile, to learn more about others, to do more to be a friend and have an impact, and to become more by being part of a larger group working toward the goal of making the world a more positive place. But even Charlie Todd is too extreme of an example. The people whose leadership matters the most are the people we see every single day. The people like our family, our coworkers, and our friends make us who we are and inspire us to do the things we do. And that means you are an important leader. Not only do these people inspire you, but you inspire them. Doing something as little as saying hi or smiling at someone has an impact. And while this impact may seem small or unimportant, it's these small things that add up. I'll use the analogy of donating to a cause. If 100 generous people each donate a couple $1,000s to a cause, they could raise about $2 million. That's not bad. But what's possible? If every single person in the United States would donate just 1 penny to a cause, we could raise about $3 million. So applying this to leadership, it's these small, simple decisions that combine to make a difference. If everyone in the world could take the effort to provide just a penny of leadership, think how much of an impact that would have. So dig around in the places you don't usually look, in between the metaphorical couch cushions, for a penny of leadership that you can donate to your cause. Who knows, maybe you'll even find a nickel, a quarter, or some hidden stash of $100. So, what is a leader? A leader is someone like you, me, President Obama, and that cashier at Walmart. The leadership of the world falls onto our shoulders, And so I challenge everyone, including myself, to go out into the world and be the best leader possible. To think about how we can inspire people to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more every single day. And keep in mind, just one penny of leadership makes a world of difference. Thank you.
Leadership. This three-syllable word has a magnificent extent of power. It recollects cherished memories, brings tears to people's eyes, helps people cope with their issues, and truly makes the world a better place. As Indra Nooyi described, the most adaptive leaders are those who not only face reality, but help everyone around them do the same. We see leadership on a daily basis, from the little kindergartner managing the game of hide and seek on the playground, to powerful national leaders creating public policy. Sincere leadership is driven by passion and devotion, where you are not simply working for a job, but you become the job. Leaders lead with the heart, follow their values every day, and get to know their people individually. Business leaders such as Nooyi, social leaders such as Invisible Children, and community leaders such as you and I, all pave a path in history and leave an honorable legacy behind. Indra Nooyi, CEO of PepsiCo, manages over 300,000 employees in around 200 countries. Her motto is performance with purpose, where she believes that a company can be successful both ethically as well as commercially. Since every leader has a corporate and social responsibility to bring a positive change to this earth through their work. Under Nooyi's leadership, the Pepsi Refresh Project has been started, which encourages members of the community to make submissions for worthwhile projects to potentially receive monetary grants from the company. Projects such as Pennies for Prom, Pepsi Refresh Creative Reuse Day, the construction of a disability-friendly skate park in Birmingham, Alabama, along with many others, have transformed our communities for the better and have brought joy to people's lives. Additionally, the Women's International Network has been established, through which Pepsi employees travel to find inspirational stories to post online and serve as soup for the soul. Nooyi advocates that the key to successful leadership is to have open eyes, open ears, an open mind, and an open heart. She believes that when companies get into new products and new services, they can be a force in society to bring technology and resources to help address the problems of societies and governments today. Business leaders exercise their influence for the common good and ensure the upbringing of successful and talented individuals. In addition to business leaders, social leaders are extremely valuable in our communities. This year, an organization called Invisible Children has started a campaign to stop the Lord's Resistance Army, headed by Joseph Kony. Kony is the #1 criminal on the International Criminal Court, and over the past 26 years, he's abducted over 30,000 children, forced them to become child soldiers, and partake in unbelievable crimes. The Ugandan children cannot even sleep for fear of abduction. The goal of Invisible Children is to have the United States government send the necessary technology and training to help the Ugandan army find and kill Kony and save these children's lives. Although the goal is high, the campaign has been working vigorously to make Kony famous and has united people from many different countries to one common cause. So far, the leadership of this organization has worked to build schools in Africa, create new jobs, and build an early warning radio network to prevent isolated villages from rebel attack. Social leadership directly impacts people's lives everywhere. Invisible Children is saving lives and persuading others to take action too. Leadership does not have to be on an international level in order to be successful. Leaders can make an impact on the local level too. A leader just needs to have clear understanding, strong will, and personal integrity. So if you strongly believe in something, go for it. The achievements are endless. In 2011, 2 seniors at Poolsville High School implemented a composting senior project where they created compost using worms. It was clean, efficient, and easy. They even began to talk to freshmen, to get the freshmen inspired to do the project at home. Their goal was to bring compost to a school-wide level and save lots of trash. Their plan was for the organic products that were composted were to be sold to farmers as fertilizer to raise money for the school. Their small idea began as a senior project and now is broadening to a bigger level. Leadership is beneficial to our world and truly touches our lives. Leaders must unite their people to one common cause, keeping in mind a concise goal and driving for the common good. We can make a difference in the world as long as we are passionate and always are motivated to create a change, create an impact in society. As Indra Nooyi said, if all of us try to swim against the tide, maybe, just maybe, the tide will turn. Thank you.
Leadership, past, present, and the next millennium. What are three things that all great leaders have in common? Is it their ability to communicate well with others? Is it their drive and passion? Or is it the fact that they can get anyone on board with a cause and make a change? Yes. But where does that drive and passion start? How do they know which direction to take? And how do they know what to do first? It only takes one person who is willing to take one step that will lead to one action that could spark an inspiring change in this world. The leaders of the past have paved the way for the leaders of the present and the next millennium. Those leaders have started movements that have sprawled across the mountains, rivers, and valleys of these United States and destroyed barriers for women, just like Juliette Gordon Lowe. This leader of the past had a vision that young women would be able to grow up in the world and be self-sufficient. Juliette had a dream that young women would have the opportunity to be who they so choose, instead of who society deems appropriate. She could not sit back and let the world go on as it did, so she founded Girl Scouts. This organization is teaching young women to believe in themselves and that their goals and dreams are never too far-fetched. They continue to strive to this day as they celebrate 2012 as the Year of the Girl and their 100th anniversary. Juliette Gordon Lowe is one person who was willing to take one step that led to one action that sparked an inspiring change in the lives of young women. Now, there are many different leaders in today's world, leaders of countries, corporations, and organizations. But only a few are truly making a difference, such as First Lady Michelle Obama. This strong woman of distinction could have easily chosen to sit back and relax in the luxuries of the White House, focus on her own children, other countries, or other issues. But instead, she started her own campaign here in the United States called Let's Move. She is teaching young people that it is possible to make something of their lives and influence the lives of others. Through her passion for health and wellness, she is showing her abilities to lead others in a direction that could change their lives forever. She is not hiding in the shadows of her husband, but she has stepped up, stepped out, and is making a difference in the lives of young people. First Lady Michelle Obama is one person who was willing to take one step that led to one action that has sparked an inspiring change in the lives of young people. Now, no one can see into the next millennium or predict who will be running the world or making a difference. It is up to you and it is up to me to follow the words of a wise man named Mahatma Gandhi. You must be the change that you want to see in the world. We must be the change that we want to see. We can't expect things to change by just talking, writing articles, or blogging. That's not enough. We have to make the conscious effort to step up, step out, and place our own personal stamp on this world. It only takes one person who is willing to take one step that will lead to one action that could spark an inspiring change in this world. So right here and right now, I vow to be that one person who is going to take that one step that will lead to that one action that will spark an inspiring change in this world.
History is full of great men accomplishing fantastic deeds. Leaders who, despite the odds, persevered to greatness. Today, when we look back on the heroes of antiquity, we do not see their lives just as they saw them. Rather, we see their lives as woven tapestries, a complicated collection of triumphs and tragedies, relationships and ideas interwoven throughout a person's life. These reveal character and show what people are made of. Some threads are hidden behind masks. Others are on display for all to see. Certain fibers reveal the beautiful gold and silver strands of greatness and leadership which you are joy to look upon, while others are interwoven with a murky black that reviles you to your very core. Some tapestries are simple, and others are complicated. Regardless, each person's tapestry is unique, created by their life, the sum of the whole, held together by what they believe at their core. Once upon a time there was a man. Weak in stature and constitution, he stood only 5'3" and suffered through bad health his entire life. In physical appearance, he was a tiny man. But in moral fortitude, he was a giant. His name? William Wilberforce. And his tapestry, his life was something to behold. A legacy, still beautiful even through the passage of time. His motto appears at every weave, Nos non nobis. Thus we labor, but not for ourselves. This worldview was the tie that bound his life together. For you see, William is one of the unsung heroes of history. In 1803, after more than 20 years of struggle, William accomplished through legislative means and without firing a single shot what the United States was only able to accomplish through a bloody civil war. Almost single-handedly, he crushed the British slave trade and caused the shipping of slaves from England to cease. Today, when we look back at Wilberforce's tapestry, we see a beautiful tapestry of grace, amazing grace. Moving on, we come to another tapestry, another life. On a background of sky blue and ocean green, we see strands of silver, gold, and a brilliant orange. Each thread connects and magnifies the whole. The phrase, "Perpetuum nos victum," resonates in the lost language of Latin. By endurance, we conquer. The motto of Ernest Shackleton. When his expedition to the South Pole failed in disaster, he safely led 28 stranded sailors in 3 22-foot-long whaling boats across more than 800 miles of freezing ocean waters. And by his firm and focused leadership, not a single man was lost. In his tapestry, a fiery orange dominates. A glowing ember, a shining beacon, it symbolizes the courage that burned in his heart. His ship was crushed like a tin can, but he did not lose hope. He conquered because he endured. Shackleton, his life was a tapestry of endurance. And we come to the final tapestry, the work of an influential leader, a man skillful in his trade, a leader of men, but not characterized by gold or silver. The dominant color is a thick, dark, murky red braided with black. This tapestry drips with the blood of the innocent. Void of beauty, a weave of terror, famine, disease, and death, the mind's eye prefers to look away and not consider the darkness of this man's life. A motto binds this one as well. It reads, "Death solves all problems. No man, no problem." Joseph Stalin, the leader of communist Russia and the man credited with the murder of more than 65 million of his own people. 65 million. The thought of what he did sickens the heart. He ruled and led by terror. He was a leader of destruction who wove a tapestry of death. So what does it all mean? Who cares about these tapestries of life? This moment, decades later, we still feel the repercussions of the decisions of others. And not everyone has the fiber to be the head of business or government. But each of us are called to be leaders in some way, to be people of character, in our homes, in our churches, in our schools. Each of us can profoundly influence everyone around us. In the words of C.S. Lewis, there's no such thing as an ordinary person. You have never talked to a mere mortal. So how's your tapestry going? Is it a tapestry of grace like Wilberforce? A tapestry of endurance like Shackleton? Or is it a tapestry of death like Stalin? We all weave our cloth. Some are close to completion, others only just begun. And it isn't just what you do or what you say or what you believe in your core beliefs that will determine whether your masterpiece is woven with gold. It is your character. History's leaders have always been defined by their character traits. Trustworthiness, honesty, bravery, and others. In the words of Reverend Harry Reeder, circumstances don't dictate your character. They reveal it. What tapestry do you have? What legacy will you leave? Thank you.
Nelson Mandela, a great world leader, once said, "It's better to lead from behind and put others in front, especially when you're celebrating victory when those things occur. You take the front line when danger is near, and by doing so, people will appreciate your leadership." Like Mandela, I also believe leadership is best defined by those you support, encourage, and motivate. Allow me to elaborate what leadership is from my perspective. L. Learning how to listen and take affirmative action when it's needed. This means when there's an urgent need, right then and there, you accommodate that need efficiently and effectively. E. Educating those who think of me as a role model and look to me for advice. I accomplish this by being a positive role model and never allowing negative barriers to hold me back. A. Always being considerate of others and helping those who cannot help themselves. This could be something as simple as helping an elderly neighbor or volunteering at a local hospital or shelter. D. Demand respect. However, show it when it's given to you. This is important because this is an example of self-respect, and we do not respect ourselves, then others will not respect us either. E. Enjoy life to the best of its ability. However, never take life for granted. Always respect what has been taught and given, and never underappreciate or undervalue its worth. R. Reach for goals and set new ones as you go along. Never give up or settle for less. There may be a couple of bumps along the road, however, never feel as though you failed. S. Ship off and sail towards greatness and success. Leave behind those who are negative and take with you those who wish you the best. Great leaders faces challenges and reflects upon mistakes while maintaining an optimistic outlook. H. Honesty. Never shy away from situations. The more we practice the truth, the easier the truth develops and the more trust becomes. I. Integrity. Integrity is a trait that we often see in leaders. Integrity is reflected in our actions, attitudes, and thinking, and it also means to treat others as we wish to be treated. P. Planning. Planning is an intellectual process. Planning can be something as small as thinking before you speak. However, it can be something as big as planning for a job or a career, or maybe even what you want to do for the rest of your life. Planning can make or break a leader. However, it's an excellent example of what being a leader consists of. Leadership is an intellectual process in which one can enlist the support and aid of others. It also means to be followed by those who believe in you. You also have to be convincing, not just to yourself, but to others. You have to convince them that you're even worthy of being followed. How do you do this? Through good trust and good communication. In conclusion, everyone poses some type of leadership quality. It's just how you use it. Each and every day, I strive to be a leader. And each and every day, I strive to live up to these expectations and consistencies of leadership. Thank you.
There are individuals in our day-to-day lives that lead us, from our parents, teachers, our local lawmakers, to the captain of the football team. Almost all of us look to someone for direction and motivation on a daily basis. However, when pondering the idea of leadership, I looked instead to several historical figures. These people have several things in common. They were consistent, they had presence, and most importantly, they earned the respect of their peers and their community. Today we'll take a look back at some of the finest leaders of the 20th century and how they displayed these characteristics. First and foremost, in order to be an effective leader, one must be consistent. Consistency in work ethic, morals, and character builds up a leader. People not only long for, but demand consistency of their leaders, especially during times of struggle and hardship. Without a doubt, the greatest struggle of the 20th century was World War II, and one of the finest leaders of this time was Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was the rock and foundation for the British people during World War II. As Nazi Germany cascaded across the rest of Europe and threatened Britain with destruction, Churchill spoke to his people boldly and consistently. His speeches were broadcast on the radio, and he encouraged his people to carry on and persevere. At one point he declared, "If you're going through hell, keep going," in reference to the Battle of Britain. Great Britain needed a leader, and Winston Churchill was the answer. With his bold speeches and consistency, Churchill helped Great Britain pull through some of its darkest days. As I said earlier, people follow leaders who display consistency in work ethic, morals, and character. Not only did Churchill do this, he was also a constant and consistent source of inspiration for his people in the face of adversity. Next, nearly every great leader throughout history has had presence. I see presence as an important attribute of leadership because when an individual possesses the ability to have an instant, commanding effect on a situation or group of people, it allows everything that he or she says or does to be taken with great thought and consideration. A leader with presence demands respect and attention. One leader of the 20th century who had an immense presence was a U.S. president named Theodore Roosevelt. Roosevelt was well known for saying one should speak softly but carry a big stick. As President of the United States, Roosevelt definitely applied this principle. He built the famous Panama Canal, made peace between the Russians and the Japanese, winning himself the Nobel Peace Prize, and also shut down monopolies within the U.S. economy. Roosevelt had a vibrant personality that had a profound effect on everyone that he worked with, and it got things done. William R. Day was appointed by Roosevelt to be a Supreme Court Justice in 1908. Upon accepting the nomination, Day was quoted as saying, "I hardly have any choice in the matter. Teddy had persuaded me to accept his proposal before I even had time to consider it." With his persuasive personality and presence, Theodore Roosevelt helped springboard America into the 20th century and cement his legacy as one of America's finest leaders. Finally, the best leaders are respected by their peers in their community. I can't think of one person in my life or in my community who I see as a leader who isn't held in the highest respect by the community itself. You must have your followers respect in order to be successful. This couldn't be more obvious than when we look at the case of Martin Luther King Jr., the leader of the Civil Rights Movement until his assassination in 1968. With his composed disposition and peaceful protest in the face of crimes and injustices against himself and his people, King earned the respect not only of the black community, but also of many formerly prejudiced Americans. King studied other social uprisings throughout history, like Mohandas Gandhi's fight for independence in India in the 1940s, and he knew that the best way to earn the respect of the American people was to maintain his composure and to never resort to violence. Upon these principles, Martin Luther King Jr. advanced his cause and earned the respect of the American people. This is why I see Martin Luther King Jr. as such an extraordinary leader. Today, I reflected upon the image of a leader. In my life and in my community, I see many people as leaders. but through examining several historical figures, I found that the three most important attributes of leadership that create effective leaders were consistency, presence, and the ability to earn the respect of your peers and community. We saw Winston Churchill's consistency as he guided Great Britain through World War II. We saw Theodore Roosevelt's presence as he springboarded America into the 20th century. And finally, we saw Martin Luther King Jr. earn the respect of the American people. When pondering the idea of leadership, we need not look any further than the example that these three great men have set out for us.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm here today to talk about leadership and, wait, who was that guy? Certainly didn't have the quality of a leader. Let's try that again. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today to talk about leadership. Now, there are many attributes required of a leader. One of them is they can't be insecure like that guy. They can't stand on this stage going, no. Leaders need to be calm and relaxed. They need to feel at home on the stage. People are counting on them not to be nervous. They're counting on them to be bold and strong people that know how to get their point across to the audience. One leader, named Mario Savio, a civil rights activist who truly demonstrated his mastery of public speaking, and one of his most famous speeches, it was entitled The Bodies Upon the Gear speech. It was given on December 2nd, 1964 on the Berkeley campus as protest to restrictions on students' freedom of speech on political subjects. Now this man was clearly not afraid of public speaking. There were no stuttering, no awkward pauses. All that could be heard were the words of Savio's passionate speech sounding through that silenced crowd. Just think of it. His voice, so passionate, it silenced the crowd. And when a leader speaks with that kind of passion, it tells the audience that what they're talking about is actually important to them. But public speaking isn't the only thing required of a leader. Leaders also need to care for their people. And one way they can show they care for their people is by listening. And by listening, I mean actually listening. They have to pay attention, make eye contact, and ask questions. A leader that's known for doing all these things, in addition to being a great president, is President Bill Clinton. A reporter that met Mr. Clinton noted that he was such a good listener, it made him feel like he was the most important person in the room, while Bill Gates was standing right next to him. Another instance of President Clinton listening to his people took place at the Leaders in London conference in 2006. President Clinton had just finished giving a speech to a crowd of young leaders, and now it was their turn to ask him questions. Among the first of the attendees who reached for a mic was a young lady who did not speak English well. She stood up, grabbed that microphone with confidence, and began rambling on in a thick accent. No one could understand, and everybody started laughing. Everybody, that is, except for President Clinton. It didn't take long before a moderator came over and took the microphone away, offered it to someone else, to keep the program moving along. Once all the other attendees asked their questions and the program was nearing its end, that's when President Clinton stood up and he said something. He said, "Wait, a young lady earlier asked me a very important question and I would like to answer it." And he went on to answer that young lady's question. He actually listened when no one else did. Everybody just sat and laughed, but he listened. It seems the only thing President Clinton had trouble listening to were his wedding vows. So for leaders, public speaking is good to get the people on your side, and listening to them really shows them you care. But the most important aspect of a leader is their decisiveness. Your actions define who you are as a person, so in making them, you must be careful but firm. A normal person takes this into account as they go about their daily lives, taking care of themselves or their families. But a leader is different. They often have to take care of a multitude of people. Therefore, they must base their decisions on what the people have told them and what is right. In a more complex situation, what the people want may be in contrast to what is right. And it is in these situations that a leader must bring up their courage and make the right decision. One such leader is Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela lived in a segregated South Africa, where many people supported the apartheid. Mr. Mandela, being the courageous anti-apartheid leader he was, defied the government, defied the people and fought for what was morally correct. He had the strength to push through, even when he was sentenced to prison. To prison. How many of us can do that? He went on, persisting on his just cause, even when everyone was against him. His persistence was rewarded, though. The hearts of South African people were changed. People went on fighting for him, fighting with him. In 1990, he was released from prison. In 1994, he was actually elected president. And the years after, with his help and all of his supporters, he brought segregation down. It's leaders like this that really keep our world moving forward. It's the way they fight for us, the way they listen to us, the way they speak to us. In times of hardship or of desperation, leaders will rise to the stage. They will mesmerize us. They will motivate us. They will listen to our problems, and they will answer them with actions that will lead us to a better future. Thank you for your time.
In the modern world of today, strong leadership is vital to deal with new, internationally demanding situations. And yet, where does this leadership originate? Where does it come from? Currently, I'm a junior, and I have participated in a program called GRTC, which has taught me leadership values of purpose, direction, and motivation. And today, I would like to discuss what this means to me and how I interpret them to make myself a better leader. Think a moment. What do we do every single day? We live with tests, trials, and tribulations. What do? We overcome them, or at least try, because this is our purpose and what drives us forward today. And these challenges, they present exciting experiences which gain us knowledge. And this knowledge we can use to continue to overcome challenges, because this knowledge points us in the direction we want to go. Finally, there's what the Greeks would describe as pathos. This is our emotion. It's what pushes us forward, what motivates us. And leaders use ambition and passion to excite motivation. But what do these three words mean, this purpose, direction, and motivation? Nothing. Because they're guidelines. There's no standard to leadership, and there's no one best way to lead. Certainly, I will not have the same ideas, the same values, or the same experiences as anyone else in this room today. As Douglas MacArthur once said, life is a lively process of becoming, because day to day we live and we grow. But what does that mean for us personally? Looking intrinsically, us as leaders, we have to communicate these three ideals, this purpose, direction, motivation, by attacking our flaws and developing them, as well as capitalizing on our strengths. Ultimately, we want to become a better, more rounded leader, because we need to communicate this not only for ourselves, but for our subordinates. A strong leader knows who he is serving. A leader is a server. By understanding who your subordinates are, by understanding their experiences, their ideals, and their values, leaders learn how to communicate purpose, direction, and motivation better. It allows us to grow. Finally, there's an important value, an important asset that leaders oftentimes forget. It is our responsibility to develop subordinates. We need to bring them up, because leadership is more enabling than performing, more participative than directive. George C. Marshall once said, "I do not want you fellows sitting around asking me what to do. You should be telling me what to do. Leaders want to develop their subordinates by building up their self-respect, self-esteem, and self-image. Because blessed is the leader who seeks the best for those he serves. Take a moment and think. Have you seen strong leadership recently? In our world today, this strong leadership is critical. It's the cornerstone of everything we do. Our foreign relations, our social relations, our political relations. And yet, where does this leadership come from? By using purpose, direction, and motivation, we know they're just guidelines. Because every single day, we grow, we learn, and we live. You are leaders in everything you do. And because of communication, this purpose, direction, and motivation, leadership is action. It's what you do in your home, in your job, in your school. You are leaders. And that is the origin of leadership. Leadership originates within you.